It almost sounds like a jam going on. In fact, it's not, but it sounds like that. I quite like that. Very different for us, very different for a sort of vibe for Maiden.
It's very live, yeah. We approached it to be very live, and when we rehearsed the stuff before we went in for the recording, it felt really good that we could play these songs, you know, live. I wouldn't say easily, because there's quite a lot of time changes going on in some of them, especially the songs on the latter part of the album. And we've always tried to recreate in the studio, you know, what we do live anyway. That's always been the purpose, the ultimate goal, really. And it's worked out really well. I mean, you can never really, you know, pursue the live thing and get it, you know, because it's just not quite the same.
You could say, apart from the opening track, the second, third, maybe the fourth tracks are pretty straightforward, really. I think maybe subconsciously I wanted to try it. We have got into a bit of a comfort zone or a way of doing things the last couple of albums, and I thought it'd be nice to do something a bit different. As well, when you're playing, you know, we do a lot of guitar solos and stuff. It's nice to have something different to bounce off. If you're playing over the same stuff all the time, you tend to play the same. So on a couple of occasions, it kind of shook things up a little bit. Some, you know, playing over a 7/8 time or something, which we'd never quite done before, like which sort of inspires kind of different ideas.
I think one of the things I say, I think when the fans listen to it, they are probably going to go listen to the first track, and it's going to be, wow, this sounds radically different from Maiden. But then when you get into this, I think it's probably one of the most progressive albums we've done rhythmically. I mean, there's so many different, especially from Nico's point of view, from the drum patterns, we've kind of gone on a different path. You know, there's some obviously moments on the album which is exclusively, typically, this is Iron Maiden. But I think it's like Adrian's coming up with all these progressive passages, and I think it really lent well to this band. So it sounds Iron Maiden, and it's 2010. We don't sound like Iron Maiden from, you know, in the 80s. It's like a fresh approach. And I think with Steve, he's always thinking like 3 or 4 instruments down the road, what's gonna be added. So he's always thinking, okay, I know this song's progressing this way, and he's always thinking ahead about the next song or some ideas that he would add to. And then also we had a free rein really to go in and try out what we wished. You know, if, I had an idea, part of an idea for the song, you can just pitch it in. And you're in the studio, it either works or it doesn't. So, there's a lot of freedom and a lot of expression on this album, and I think it comes across.
Well, it was actually really good because we went back to Compass Point Studios. We haven't been there since 1986. We did 3 albums there. It was just great. We really enjoyed it. It was a really good vibe in there. We had 2 separate rooms, so we put all the cabinets in a separate room, so we was all able to be in the same room with headphones. And normally we hate headphones, but the system that Kevin Shirley had was really good system, and right from the first note, it felt, you know, it sounded great. Best headphone setup we've ever had. So it was a breeze in that way. Really, it was really easy. You know, we just played. Had good contact with each other in the room. Nico's there, you know, like Bruce is in a little booth there, but it's still glass door, so we could, you know, interact with each other, and it was actually really enjoyable. No, we actually did a different approach on that song, really different. I just said to the guys I want to go in and try a few different ways of recording, a few different ideas, and not necessarily record it all in one go. If you're doing a heavy part with a really good sound, we'd maybe do another heavy part, and then you can kind of put it together afterwards. And it was just a really different approach, but it worked fantastic. And you know, I think we'd definitely try that approach again. It's the first time we've really done it like that. Well, Adrian had the basic idea of the song, the intro stuff originally, and then I just basically took it and put it together with
the other part and wrote the lyrics and stuff and all that and put it all together. And I'm not sure it's what Adrian really anticipated originally, because when he heard it he went, oh wow, that's not what I intended, but it sounds, you know, really good anyway. So I think it sets the scene really good though for the album. It's kind of different, exciting, ominous, and sci-fi all at the same time.
I got studio homes and sat down and wrote every day for a month, you know, and that's one of the things that came out. I don't know where it came from. It's just very kind of a heavy, probably a bit more, I don't know, more modern, but certainly different to what we've done before. And you know, I played everything I had to Steve, and you know, he kind of has a vision for the outcome of the album, you know, so he liked that, and he wanted it as an intro, and also wanted it to sound different, you know, like a separate thing. We didn't want to, so we didn't play, we kind of messed around playing it as a band, we didn't, so we just lifted the whole thing from my studio and straight onto it, and put the vocals on it, you know.
We chose El Dorado because we thought it'd be a good live song. I mean, it's difficult when you choose a taste, especially for an album like this, because I think it's so diverse that I don't think any one song is particularly a taster for it, really. It doesn't really represent what the album is, so you could have chosen probably, you know, anything from the album, really. But I think it's a very good live song. You know, when we rehearsed the song, it felt good playing it. It's a good live, you know, rocker, really. Bit sort of heavy, Thin Lizzy type of vibe to it.
The thing I really like about the song is the story of the song is great. You know, the words and whatnot, but the actual arrangement is really, you know, it's right in your face. We've got a bird's eye at the start, which we like. People are going, what's coming next? You know, but as a drumming point, it's not over challenging. It's the main thing in that song is where the groove is. If I get a little in front of it, it's especially in the solo section and on the choruses, it really can lose the swing of the song. The essence of it isn't sort of so much just nailing the meter on a clock. It's where it moves. I really like the arrangement of the tune. It's great. The breakdown in the middle, then the ending section.
El Dorado, it was weird. My dad, like 5 years ago, was sitting there, you know, in his rocking chair, going, "This is all going to end in tears." He said, "You wait." He said, this whole thing is going to fall down and everybody's going to be broke." For me, I've lived through. This is the third big recession that I've lived through. Like really big, major one, you know. One was in the early 70s when they switched off all the power to the whole of the country and we were all living by candlelight for 3 days a week. Then the next one was under Margaret Thatcher, and then the interest rates went sky high and all these people lost their houses. And I remember then all these people bought houses thinking, look, houses are going up, just buy a house. It'll always go up. Endless growth. Nothing can stop it, you know. And you get this kind of casino thing that people like play the casino with their lives. And El Dorado is about human nature. It's a timeless tale. It's like yeah, the streets are paved with gold, dude. Just, you know, and you turn out, and it turns out they're not. It's a crock of shit, you know. But meanwhile, you know, the guy's sailing away in his boat. You know, yep. Here you go, guys. Here's every man has a canoe. I'm the only guy that's got the paddle. Did I tell you that? No, sorry. I'm just sailing away. You know, we're doing El Dorado on the tour, and it's relatively straightforward, apart from the fact that the vocal is an absolute pig. You know, when it goes up to the key change for the chorus, it's a nightmare. You know, it's just like put your balls in a vice and squeeze really hard. You know, my fault. You know, I wrote it. You know.
I think this album's a progression from the last album because I think that musically it's just gone even more prog probably than the last one. You know, we were sort of edging that way anyway. There's always been a prog element to the band anyway, but I think its last 2 or 3 albums has kind of gone even further that way. I think this one has also, especially the latter part of the album. The more you get into the latter part of the album, the more proggy it is, and it's just a natural.
Every record you do, it's an exciting time because you're bringing new ideas out into the open. And I just think, yeah, it's a standpoint of where you are now. And I think that you get everything together and you do the best album you can possibly do at that moment. And I'm really pleased with this, and we all are. It's a great sounding album. I think it's opened a few different avenues up for the band. We've gone to a few different places. After a band, you've got to be organic. You've got to move all the time. You can't keep looking back and parodying yourself. You've got to move on to different pastures. And I think we do that every time we make an album. Try to take it somewhere different. You know, there's a stamp on it. It's Iron Maiden. It's always going to sound like that because you know this is the band that's playing. It's Nick on the drums. You know, Steve's playing, but it's going to sound like Iron Maiden. But the important thing is to try and take it somewhere else without losing that identity. And I think, you know, we've done it again, and I'm really proud of it. And
Well, Kevin is great to work with. I mean, he's, you know, he'll try and get the best out of us, and I think that the more he's been with us, the more he's realised the strengths of the band and the fact that the basic elements of the band are there and don't need to be kind of messed with. Not that he wanted to mess with them in the first place, but it's just he kind of, when you're getting to know, when you're working with someone, whatever, you know, where they try different things, and I think he's found that the strengths lie in is not changing too much, really, in the essence of the band. And working with him is great. I mean, he's, you know, we were trying to find somebody to replace Martin Birch because Martin Birch was so good and easy to work with, and we found Kevin, and you know, he's in a lot of ways he's very much like Martin Birch in the sense that, you know, he'll have a good laugh, you can have a lot of fun making the album, but it's serious business when you get down to recording and no messing around really as well. You know, kind of, he doesn't pull any punches as well when he wants to say something, which is great, which is just the way we like it. We much prefer people to be straight up and honest with what we're doing, and we like and respect him, and you know, so it works very, very well. You know, we really have a lot of fun when we're recording. I think that's the important thing when you're recording. It can be, you know, kind of laborious sometimes when you're recording, and you need to have that fun element as well as the seriousness.
Initially, I started writing the song about other people coming home. And then I thought, well, you know, why don't you just write a song about us coming home? Us, the band, all of us, because it's what we do. We spend our lives coming home. And we've just been on this huge tour on this big silver bird flying around, doing all this remarkable stuff. And I thought, well, maybe I'd write a song about that. And I thought I have to be careful here because it'd be really easy to get cheesy about this stuff. I tried to do 2 things. One was to get some sense of the odd feelings that you get when you leave a town, or in our case, a country or a continent, and you leave it behind. You know, you've had up close and personal with 80,000 people. Massive adrenaline highs, euphoria, whatever. And then the next morning you get up, have a cup of coffee, have a shower, you're gone. And there's some idea of what that feels like. And in addition, what it feels like to me, sitting at the front end, having a foot in both camps, having the perspective of not just being on stage doing that, but also being, you know, flying this magnificent thing through the sky and seeing all the sunsets and seeing the runway lights come up through the mist in the morning and touching down and going, we're home. The experience of being on the airplane just seemed to accentuate the poignancy of it. You're not just piling into a tour bus and flying off, but it's all of us and our equipment. It's the whole circus gets in, and you don't just drive off down the road and wave. You leave the earth.
Being on the 757 Air Force One, it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, first of all, I suppose it was, I don't know, pretty stressful for Bruce, I'd say, because he had to sort of set a lot of those things up with other people, obviously, but and they weren't 100% sure that it was all the gear would fit in properly and all the logistics of it would work as well as it did. So the fact that it went so plain sailing, I think, was a bit of a relief. Although we didn't know that at the time. I only found out afterwards when he did the actual interviews, and I watched it back and I was like, oh, he wasn't that sure, was you? So I'm glad he didn't let us know that. So that would have been really pretty scary, I think, if we'd known that they were that nervous about it. But everything went very well, and being on there was just fantastic. I mean, obviously long distances and everything, no matter whether you're on a private plane or not, it's still tiring. And all that, and we all got sick, as everybody knows now. But so that was tough as well. And I think the first 2 weeks of a tour is always tough anyway. And we don't usually film or record anything really towards it, maybe the end of a tour, because obviously we're a bit more together then. So they had elements of all those things going on, and so it was quite a lot of pressure really in the first couple of weeks, which you could probably do without really. But it's just one of them things, you just get on and do it. But it was good fun. It was really good going to different places. The fact that we could actually just go where we wanted to, when we wanted to, is absolutely amazing. And once you've done that, really, it's difficult to go back to flying commercial, I think, afterwards, especially with all the restrictions and security problems there are these days. So, yeah, it was wonderful in that sense. Hopefully not. I mean, hopefully not the final frontier. I think everybody knew that when we put this album out, people were going to be wondering about the title, whether it's the beginning of the end or the end itself. Hopefully not. We hopefully can go on a few more years, and I definitely would like to make another album. I don't know if the rest of the guys feel the same way. I think they do. It's just a question of physically whether we can, time-wise, because we're going to be doing a long tour with this album. And there's other bits and pieces in the pipeline also, so we'll see what happens, but I don't see no reason why we can't make another album.